So, any questions on the topic we discussed last week on spiritual entity? I know it's a little difficult topic, but if you have any questions or comments, we can discuss or we can proceed to the reading. All right. So, does this mean we keep worrying about mistakes we might make? So, living in fear of making mistakes that might cause downfall is not a positive way to approach the goal. So, I mean, this topic of making mistakes is really coming from where, see, I mean, we are into the higher regions, and then we have this, there's always fear of failure, correct? Oh, the fall is higher when you go to the high, and the fall is hurts little if you're falling from the low. So there is nothing called falling from high or low. It's all, how can I really go wrong? Even after reaching the highest region, like ninth point, the possibility is always there. So, like they say, right? Today's saint is tomorrow's sinner, and today's sinner is tomorrow's saint. So the flip can happen. So that's basically saying life is full of possibilities. It's not that we have to fear about falling, but it should actually give a lot of hope. Even if I have not made it till today, but tomorrow it can happen, right? In one of this Daji's statement was in one of the talks. He was stuck on the fourth point for almost more than 10 or 15 years before he could progress out of fourth point. So, I mean, the here it's not about the fall, but the question is, how much aware I am that I have reached these higher regions and progressing. So once I understand this balance point, once I understand the spirit, what is a spiritual condition, we always try to maintain that condition and we work towards it. Just because I'm stressed out in life, some life situations are not going well, and I'm not able to meditate, I cannot think about spirituality, I cannot do anything because I'm consumed by my life situation. Should I consider that as a fall? Not at all. So, in those times, our best tool is to keep praying. Make that connection possible. Keep praying and praying. Every time you feel stressed out, every time you feel disconnected, every time you feel you don't have any condition except your the life situation consuming you, just pray. That's all you have to do to maintain your spiritual status, right? So that's why this spirituality, I mean, any spiritual system cannot be a rigid system. It has to accommodate every life situation, right? So then you might say, is my spiritual practice, is it not going to help me with my life situations? Of course, yes, it will help you to face any life situation if that is the help you are seeking. But it will not fix anything. We have to somehow bring that higher wisdom with prayer and try to fix these issues. Some issues cannot be fixed, then we have to basically let it go and let it take over and then move on, right? So, and if we keep worrying about mistakes, see again here talking about mistakes. So, what mistakes possibly we can make, right? See this. idea, like any going to any spiritual or religious systems, these are some ideals which are taught to us. Don't be angry, don't have desire, don't have. There are so many don'ts. And in fact, in one of the discussions like that, I made a statement, by your definition, not the definition of spirituality. For me to be spiritual, I have to turn into a stone. Probably that's why we have stone idols, right? Because they don't have anything. We are humans and we have to act like humans, right? So, as a human, there is a human tendency, there is a divine human tendency, because the humans are the ones who have recognized the divinity within, and there are animal human tendencies. All these tendencies coexist. So it is a spectrum of consciousness. The lower spectrum being an animal tendency, the higher spectrum being a divine tendency, and somewhere we balance it out with the human tendency. But if we kind of develop this aware, conscious living, then whenever we are going into a lower tendency, we know automatically how to pull ourselves out. So that is very important. And for this conscious living, the only tool which helps us is devotion. The loving devotion to the goal made our ascent possible. But again, devotion towards what? First, devotion towards the cause, the goal itself. And in this goal, our eternal companion is the teacher, the guru. So it is also in some way it develops that connection, that inner connection with the guru, which grows over a time. It is not a conscious effort. This devotion is not a conscious effort. Devotion is something we somehow start developing as we progress on this path. And once that devotion is established, that becomes our refuge. And that is why we are able to pray, we are able to practice, we are able to grow, and everything happens through that devotion, right? So in the past, this is again what I don't like is this division of systems. Some say, oh, my system, my path is only a devotion path. And some say, my path is only a practice path. And some say something else. Or my path is only the path of knowledge. So, unless all three come together, there is no success in any path. If I say I'm only a practice path and no devotion, it will not help. If I say I'm a practice path and a devotion path, I don't care about knowledge, then it is set to fail. If I say I'm only a knowledge path, I don't care about devotion and practice, then you are set for failure. So the mistakes here are really the prejudices we develop about the practice we are doing. We are not open. So it is not that you are stuck to a path and then you adhere to all the principles of the path, that is good. But there is some dynamism to every path. And this dynamism to every path only comes with an open mind and open heart. So I must be open for all the possibilities because the path is so dynamic. So sometimes devotion takes the precedence, sometimes knowledge takes the precedence, sometimes only the practice takes the precedence. Okay. So without proper understanding, if I'm doing the practice, it's not going to help. In one of the sessions with a group, One girl said, I basically asked this question, why do we practice meditation? One girl said, because my master says so. I said, very good. Your master has said it. Master has said many things. But what is your understanding of meditation? If you are doing only because your master says so, then you are saying you are in utmost devotion. But again, this devotion, we don't know if it is an emotional um reaction to something or is it really a devotion. Devotion must be devoid of all emotions. There is no ecstasy in devotion. Typically, all our devotional stories of the past are that of the ecstasy. You will only see an ecstasy. I rarely saw any devotion in any of the stories I've heard so far. One very touching thing I heard is in a village, one guy is always known as an atheist. One day, his wife said, "Oh, you claim yourself to be an atheist, but last night you're praying to the God in your sleep." So he says, when the deep connection in my heart, which I have kept it secret, now it has come to my tongue. I must take it to the deeper level again. See, a person in devotion never expresses it outwardly. An outward expression is a compensation for what is lacking inside. So a true devotion is such that it is silent, it is never expressed because it is too personal, it is not for public. I was reading a book long time ago. It's not even a famous author. Why do you need a guru? The book's title was Why Do You Need a Guru? And this author, it's a lady author, I forgot the name. She says, people talk about, oh, I have a guru so much. That means they are basically telling they have a guru, but they don't know how to use that guru. Number one. And number two, she says, when certain thing is very precious and private to me, would I go onto the streets and express about it? Would you tell what is your bank balance to everyone, your colleagues, your friend, everyone who walks in? Because you want to protect it. It is precious to you. So whatever you is precious to you, you like to protect. You don't want to put it out in public. Devotion, having a guru, your connection to the guru is also like that. It is not there to put it out in the public. It is your most private, innermost personal experience, personal connection. The more I talk about Master, the less I am connected to him. So the loving devotion to the goal made our ascent possible. We take refuge in devotion and allow that force to continue propelling our progress. So refuge is always silent. So the spiritual approach, devotion, all these aspects are of silent. You can brag about your knowledge, but not about your devotion. So we must be mindful of the banks that allow the river of devotion to flow serenely. Those banks are humility and purity. See, the same famous line that Clint Eastwood's character, Dirty Harry, speaks in the movie Magnum Force. A man's got to know his limitations. Rings true here. Humility and purity create awareness of limits. The heart is sensitized, and any slight indication of older condition kicking in triggers a warning signs in your heart. So thoughts like, is this right way to think? How should I amend my actions? Am I conducting myself with the right softness of heart? And how all my family or guru feel about such actions help you the course correct. I mean, this kind of analysis, if I am doing, if I had to do, obviously there is something wrong with me. So these are not the questions to be asked all the time. See, in the Indian scriptures, we talk about viveka buddhi, the wisdom of discernment. The discernment is such an automatic thing. You don't have to have lots of questions to discern something. To explain it, you can explain with lots of questions and answers. But to us, when we have that right discernment, it's almost an automatic thing, right? If I had to ask a question, do I need to take alcohol or not? There itself is a problem. If the with the right wisdom and the right discernment, the question of alcohol doesn't come to my mind at all. If it is coming to your mind, then there is something wrong. So think about it. The discernment is a very natural thing as per the wisdom. And if your discernment is not telling you the right versus wrong, that means your action, your thought is already justified. Okay. Think about it, right? It's already justified. See, even after progressing to a greater extent in spirituality, there are certain tendencies we cannot overcome. And we justify those tendencies. We justify with our spiritual progress. So that's why, in last Daji's article about ego, the spiritual ego telling you something else which you are not. And then you are caught up in your own world, in your own illusion, Maya. It's very difficult for even the highest master to bring you out of it. That's why humility is not about saying I am nothing. Humility is about becoming aware of your situation and the situation of the entity before you. Without this awareness, there is no humility. Humility is not about high and low, who is better or who is lower. Oh, I am nothing in front of my great master. That is false humility. I am nothing in front of the great God. It's false humility. For you to say you are nothing in front of the God, you have to know at least some assessment of what God is or what master is. So here the insignificance is about melting into that essence where there is no identity left in you. That is that insignificance we are talking about. It is not that I have my own identity and I am insignificant in front of something else, is no humility at all. It is a false humility, false notion of humility. So, I mean, what we are saying, the things, how we are understanding is completely different from the reality. Somehow we have to come out of our box and get into this reality. Otherwise, we are always questions, and we are always thinking, we are always understanding from that box only. That means I am not never open. I don't want to come out of that box and see the reality. So it is essential for us to somehow step out of that box and see how we can understand, process the spiritual progress and spiritual understanding, right? So one more thing to remember, even if it billions of years away at the time of the final dissolution of the universe, when everything in creation will merge back into the center, the evolved souls with spiritual entities will affect the levels of the conscious next consciousness of the next creation. You see, I mean, it is never ending. Okay, so let's see how much of this Ask Taji is there. We need to cover it in the next session. Yeah, so we'll cover rest of it in our next session. Any comments, questions thus far? All right. So